Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Today certainly was a day in the Call of Duty world. Plenty of interesting matches to dive into, but the key storyline of the day being Donny Temp after another tragic day for Paris Legion, saying that effectively he wants to quit and leave Paris Legion behind. Let, I guess, John come back into the starting team, drops a 1.4, pieces out for the rest of the year. That'll be quite a storyline, and well, you can't exactly blame him based on their current form. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to dive into. 3 key games to discuss. Firstly, thought this is rather funny. Apparently there's someone going around on Reddit right here promoting a post that says, well, dear Florida, don't sign players if you won't give them a fair shot. Sincerely, the boss, Yeez, 19 years fresh. Now look, we do believe that Yeez got a trial with Florida in their scrims, and Awakening actually replying to Yeez tweeted something like, I'm built different, I'm gonna, come for this spot, or something on those lines. I'm not exactly sure. And Awakening replied, nah mate, you're not built different, effectively, implying that there's, well, a bit of friction, let's just say, between Awakening on the starting team and Yeez, and maybe they played some scrims, didn't go particularly well. Of course, they wanted Asim, then they wanted Neptune, couldn't get any of them, stuck with 2 wheel, which so far hasn't worked out particularly well. Even Awakening replies to this, kind of with the Jose Mourinho, like, I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble, right? Definitely, I thought that was rather funny just to start out the video. But let's talk the first series, Boston versus Los Angeles Guerrillas. The amount of barrages we're getting to see right now is crazy. These teams just love squaring up on it at the moment. Boston, I thought, were the stronger team this series on paper, and honestly, their SMG duo right now, Vivid still does love to throw away his life in control. But we talked about, right, when Nero was the one kept over Capsule, was that a good move? I thought it was, personally, and Nero's just been hitting levels, right? It seems like with Vivid and his SMG duo, Nero arguably being the more aggressive of the two, like the amount of impact these guys can have when one of them, and especially when both of them are playing well, is ridiculous. And Nero, as of late, has looked like comfortably one of the best SMGs in the entire game. His control gameplay is ridiculous, his hardpoint even here as well. Game 1, 39 in 30, and certainly on the other side, Slasher was another good map right here, game 1, but the SMG duo on Guerrillas just could not compete with. That's the thing. Vivid and Nero, when they're on form, they are like, what, maybe even the 3rd best SMG duo in the game. That's arguable right now, and that is propelling Breach to some fantastic results. And Los Angeles Guerrillas, after a big win against FaZe, they could not produce the same level as we maybe kind of expected. Now, I mean, pretty much every single map they played in, Nero was doing something crazy. This is the Search and Destroy, down 3-1 at this point, once again on barrage. Nero comes through, gets 2, picks up the 3rd kill as well, and well, despite this, actually, it's Los Angeles Guerrillas that end up taking this map, but certainly got to be said, like a pretty nasty 3-piece. Don't get to catch this kill initially. I'm pretty sure, well, we don't get to see it from Nero's perspective, but gets the final kill in rather nice fashion as well. Guerrillas clutch up 6-3. I was wondering here, okay, like Guerrillas, if they can get back to that kind of S&D form they had with Spart at Major 2, maybe something can happen in this series, because game 5, you never really know. But I mean, Boston, well, they're just too good in the respawns right now, and Guerrillas just aren't good enough, to be honest, especially in this particular series. I mean, maybe just against FaZe, they turn up to a new level, but this control was, I mean, we saw this the other day, what Nero did against the OpTic guys, right, and has done with many times before, it seems, at this point, in this Tuscan control over the last couple of weeks or so. But look at this, Nero 1v1, Charles Spart absolutely guns him with the auto here, and that was just one example of Nero making some crazy plays, because he kept on going, and at the end of this game, he was an 11 kill streak. Like, he's just undefeated on this map right now. His stats, his numbers on this map the last couple of times he's played it must be just ridiculous, winning offenses for nothing. Look at the slang right here, 14-3. At this point, Nero's like, I mean, we'll look at the stats here in a second, but on a 10 streak, on an 11 streak, 34 in 16, he finishes out this game. Like, his series numbers are just absolutely absurd. He had a 1.48 KD going into that final hardpoint of the series, and look at this, 34 in 16. I mean, like 3,500 damage, not even the most in the lobby, actually. Vivid actually had higher, but still, these numbers just absurd. The amount of impact that those SMGs are having were ridiculous, and yes, Vivid does like to throw his lives away a bit, but it's not going to matter when Nero's playing it like he was. And the final map, Nero just continues, right? I mean, look at him go. He's just popping pieces. He's an absolute walking highlight reel right now. So this guy is so much fun to watch when he's on. He's been that way all season, but now he's just hitting form the same way that Prid the last couple of weeks has been hitting form. Nero hitting form is a scary sign for opposition, because you don't want to have to play this guy as your SMG line, and many teams have found that out over the last couple of weeks or so. Even Zach Tadenia says, the coach, Nero might be the greatest in the game right now. Not surprised that I'm his coach, right? It's a good decision from them to get involved. Like, Los Angeles Guerrillas have to be thinking about this as well, because they had him last year. I'm pretty sure he was in the team briefly. He was on their academy roster all year. They decided at the end of the season to let him go. Of course, it was the Boston guys that picked him up and have clearly molded him into an incredibly impactful player, in addition to making the Vivid pickup that, of course, well, Florida let slip through their fingers. So, a remarkable situation, but Boston kind of out of nowhere are once again looking like a contender. And well, the Vivid says right here, got to clean up search though. Like, that is certainly the key weakness for them right now. If their search and destroy struggles, they're going to have a tough time beating the top teams. But I feel like all of a sudden this team does have what it takes to take down the top dogs on occasion. Not saying it's going to be a consistent thing, but like, well, they're comfortably now through and confirmed to the World Championship pretty much. And Attack Academy say Los Angeles Guerrillas, like they were on 1-3-5 after a big victory against FaZe. Now they're still on 1-3-5, and it's once again Los Angeles Thieves that are past them. So still, LAG not out of the woods just yet, looking like the Modern Warfare Los Angeles Guerrillas, which was this team whenever they play a team that isn't Atlanta FaZe clear. But look at these numbers, right? Nearer, all across the board, every single game mode. He was the guy doing the damage for the Boston Breach. And look at these stats: 1.41, 110 kills over 4 maps, 12k damage. Like, that's just absurd. Sasha really the only one who turned up to a decent level on the Los Angeles Guerrilla side. Plenty to think about for them. The SMG duo outclassed on the day. And look at the engagements of Huke, like very low despite actually having more damage than Neptune and Spart. So that's a bit of a strange one. Definitely a lot to dissect over there. Let's talk Paris Legion then, because I honestly thought today, look, this is the last and final call. Please, Paris, do something. Don't just bore me like this again. They're so frustrating to watch because it starts off rather well. Like, this game one started off as if something was going to happen, and then this is how it ended with Donny Temp. Absolutely mind blown. Like, he went 31 in 18 or something game one. And like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a bit of stat panic going on from Donny Temp. I think we can all see it. But like, still, he's the most talented player on this team. He's the best player on this roster and does deserve to be somewhere else other than this team, I would argue right now. And this was the game one. At the end of the day, like, well, it was started off rather close, but at the end of it, it's once again Paris that let it slip through their fingers. Johnny, you just can't close a gunfight at times. Like, Kenny was 17 and 27, right? This is the concern, I think, still for Thieves. When they play SMG maps, Kenny does routinely struggle, but still, didn't seem to matter for them. 250, 226. The next games are more comfortable anyway. This, like, even the game, it seems to be conspiring against Paris, because this was a round that I thought Gravity had this defuse. I honestly, I'm zooming in here to try and see if I can see anything left on this bar. I screenshotted it right before the frame before he was killed, but like, there is literally nothing left in that bar because the bar kind of fills up. I couldn't even see a single pixel there. Maybe it's like a kind of a COD frame, like, server delay. We'll see Gravity mention that here in a second, but they got robbed here because he gets killed and they don't get the defuse, despite the fact that you'd think that he for sure has the defuse based on how long he's been on the bomb. So, bit of a strange one. It wouldn't have really mattered at the end of the day. You guys can see how close this was actually. But yeah, it didn't matter anyway. Thieves win the map. They, of course, go on to win the final control as well. And as soon as he went to a control, he just knew it was absolutely short. Crone says right here, Temp being this close to losing it. Turns out he did fully lose it after the series was over. And yeah, Los Angeles Thieves, they're at it again. They win the game 2. They win the game 3. They are looking rather good right now. It's got to be said, just comparing what we saw from OpTic against Paris and then what Thieves did right here was rather impressive from them, there's no doubt. But of course, it's really tough to read into teams when they play Paris Legion. And even after game 2, the guys were smiling. Kenny was happy. Octane was kind of laughing about something. And I was wondering, okay, against a good team, maybe the kind of Kenny smiling curse comes into effect once again. But against Paris, you don't have to worry about things like that. Look at this gunfight win as well that Octane has right here, just to show you guys. Like, he was fine. But look at this gunfight he wins. Johnny cannot be falling to lose this one. There's no way you can lose that gunfight. And yeah, Octane gets the 2-piece as well. And he was in mind blowing the camera thinking, how am I winning this? Like, there's no way we're losing the series. Must be kind of fun just to beat up on Paris Legion week after week when you get them in these league matchups. But yeah, they win the series 3-0. Paris just get destroyed. Like, they lost complete full. Temp somehow goes positive. But again, this was not a close series after the game 1. And this was honestly quite some statements here from the guys as Kenny's like, hey, even today he was stopping shooting, right? Not even finishing too many gunfights, still winning the series. Octane says, got to keep playing how we practice. And that's clearly the thing for Paris Legion. Like, however their practice has been going, apparently good. Wasn't the case here at all. It got completely destroyed. So no idea where those scrim results for Paris transferred into these actual matches. And this is the key statement here from Donny Temp. GG's Los Angeles Thieves. Honestly, man, it might be my last match of the year. I simply cannot do this anymore. Like, he's had enough. He's been super frustrated the last few weeks. They look good in scrims. They come into matches. Don't translate to any of it. He's dropping good numbers, playing win individually. The rest of the team gets bodied. Like, I mean, yeah, look, at the end of the day, people are going to say Temp's a bad teammate, whatever. But like, at the end, I feel for his situation, right? It must be so frustrating seeing that he knows this is one of his best Call of Duties ever. Like, this is one of his best years of his career, and he's stuck on a team like Paris doing nothing. Must be mad frustrating. And they know at this point, like, there's nothing to play for. Temp knows that, like, Major Force chalked. This team just isn't it. They keep taking these chances on players that just aren't going to get the job done. At least on Paris as an organisation that is just dysfunctional from top to bottom. So I can almost understand. Temp's like, look, we're not making champs. We're going to go 0-5. We're going to come top 12 at the major again. What's even the point anymore? And of course, Theory's their coach. John actually is still there as a sub. They could bring him back. But quite the statement, to be honest, here from Tim, effectively saying, look, I'm going to quit. It's been over 100 days now since Paris last won a regular season match. Now 2-20 on the year. Like, that is worse than a lot of previous iterations of any losses in CDL history. Kind of incredible how bad these guys are. But look, you guys know I love to harp on it. This was the other side of the story actually here from Gravity. Talking about that being the fakest Call of Duty that he's ever played. Love that, he says. Denver server, Dallas server. Says Gravity in reply to Arcitys, right? So saying that for whatever reason, the servers here are absolutely shocking. I'm sure we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But I mean, yeah, regardless of the situation, Temp is saying he might just be out of there and quit. Whether he follows through with this, whether Paris let him, or whether he just doesn't care and doesn't turn up anyway is another question entirely, and could certainly make more money streaming than he probably gets from the Paris season starting salary. These are the stats though. I mean, look at this, a 0.54 from Johnny, not too bad. We gotta, well, say credit to Temp in a way. He comes in, drops a 1.4, pieces out for the rest of the season. Like, you know, quite the statement from him. So let's do the final series then, and pretty much this went as I expected it to, right? I told you guys earlier today, if New York win the Control, I'd certainly say that they're probably going to win this series. And again, OpTic in Control, right? This is the key talking point. Yes, at the start of the season, they were like, what, 22-2 in Control, but their last however many maps they played, I'm pretty sure their last 9 Control maps, they're now 4-5. Not what they want to see. Game 1, again, for some reason, OpTic play Bacage. I feel like this is so questionable against the better teams. Yes, they can beat Paris on the right, but even when they beat Paris, they outslayed by, I mean, how many kills did they outslay Paris by? Like 40 or something, and won by 40 or so points. That shouldn't be the case. When they play a good team on Bacage, the likes of a FaZe, even a Los Angeles Guerrillas, who knows, a Boston, a New York Subliners, a Seattle Surge, these teams all good on this map. New York especially, playing them on this in hardpoint seems to be rather questionable. Like, I'm OpTic all of a sudden banning Tuscan nowadays, that used to kind of be their bread and butter search and destroy, or bread and butter hardpoint, sorry, at times. So, strange decision to me to play New York on this particular map, because I thought that this is a pretty strong one for New York. Turns out to be. They win the game 1. Kismet, again, impactful as ever. He's been phenomenal the last few series. OpTic kept this one close, but in the end, actually, New York pull away and win this one 250 to 170 or so, pretty comfortably in their favour. Game 2, though, was a bounce back for OpTic. They certainly needed this one. They had to win the search and destroy here on the Bacage. An impressive victory for them, pretty much flawless across the board. Definitely with Illy back, it does seem like in these cyber situations, a 2 versus 4 with bomb down, like they are more consistent. Illy wins a massive gunfight right here, and Scump catches up a huge 1v1 at the end as well against Crimsix of all people to close out the round. This is a massive one, 2v4, definitely shifted the momentum in OpTic's favour. 4-1 at this point, simply, well, it was 5-2 not long after that, and then 6-2 at the end of the day. So OpTic bounced back, I was kind of impressed, but to me it all came down to this Control. But if OpTic won this one, I feel like they were the favourites for the series, but if New York won it, I pretty much had no faith. OpTic had closed out, and that is exactly what happened in New York's favour, because surprising to me in a way, of course, these teams end up here on Berlin. No one really likes to play Gavutu lately, and it's either Tuscan or Berlin, and definitely a map where OpTic are okay at, but their first defense or their first offense, they nearly make it work, but still some questionable decisions from OpTic. They took an age to get that, the B point as it is now, took an age to get it. They finally get the kills and get the job done, but had not much time actually to make the attack over towards the A side, whereas New York have a completely different approach on their offense. They say, look, we're going for it, we're going to get all the kills. Hydra got a crazy 4-piece, actually got destroyed right there, and then there were some key kills from Kismet. Scump did his best to try and hold on, it wasn't going to happen, and well, they cap A very quickly indeed, a 2-0 advantage. Yes, you can get reverse sweeps and more commonly within the Control on Berlin and other maps, just because winning offense is more easy than it is on certain other ones, but again, New York just demolished them on the final defense as well. Never looked like OpTic even had a chance in this, and another 3-0 battering for OpTic in Control. This is clearly a key concern. Against the top teams, if they can't win Control, they're not going to be able to win series, because their hardpoint and their search and destroy is not consistent enough. Their Control was making it work for the start of the year. Now they're not so good in that game mode anymore. They got destroyed in this one, right? Kismet, Paulex, they were doing the damage. Paul even dropped 11 in the search and destroy and still lost it, right? So that was the key concern for OpTic. And then, of course, going into the final map of the series, as Parasite says, flawless search from OpTic, flawless Control from New York, what was going to happen in the final map, and then early on it was Crimsix making some key plays on this Berlin. And again, like the two maps that, I mean, obviously, look, New York's hardpoint right now is impeccable, very good indeed, one of the best teams in the game on it, but still, OpTic to lose 2 hardpoints here to New York, they're not going to be happy with that. To lose the Bacage is pretty much expected, I think, based on how good the teams are. But here on the Berlin, this was the map at the start of the year that they said, okay, they're going to keep putting in the time here on Berlin, try and get better at it, try and make it part of their map pool. They've slowly started to do that, but still I feel like they're super inconsistent on this map. And again, it felt like New York always had this one in the back pocket, the consistency, the coherence of the team. Like, I mean, the OpTic just did not seem to be, yes, Illy's back, the comms are better. In Search and Destroy, they looked okay today. Like, well, they looked pretty flawless at times on that Bacage surge. But in the hardpoint, again, it's, well, it's just players flying in one by one. Like, definitely the teamwork and the kind of chemistry doesn't really seem to be there quite yet. But I mean, look, you can't take anything away from New York. What a phenomenal performance from them. And of course, once again, another crucial 10 points on the board. Crim was going crazy in the interview with the Dr. Disrespect vibes right here, but these were the stats to finish out the job for the day. Not actually too tragic on the OpTic side, all things considered, but this is what New York generally do. If you're getting outslayed at all by New York as they did in this series, then that's never a recipe for success. Loads of interesting storylines. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below, and that means that OpTic now actually will have to beat Toronto next week. OpTic are 1-3. They have to beat Toronto next week on the Sunday, I believe, to go 2-3 at minimum. Also, a 3-1 loss here doesn't make their map count that good. Like, look, they have to beat Toronto. They have to do it maybe rather comfortably to get to 2-3, give themselves a good enough map count to get to winners bracket. Right now, there's a decent chance they start in losers at the major. But New York, on the other hand, they're making a charge. I really hope that New York actually qualify for the major or for the World Championship championship, sorry, because they're easily a good enough team to make a serious run at champs, and I just hope they manage to qualify. And on this form, they certainly will. Very much intrigued to your thoughts down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.